Welcome to another CBA coaching session. This session looks at tenons on flat bar and is appropriate to both level 2 and level 3 grills. Ultimately, we want a tenon on the flat bar of the frame of the grill, and I prefer that the mortise for the tenon is not visible once the grill is assembled. Therefore, I make my tenon slightly smaller in diameter than the bar is thick. Let's review some things about working with tenons. If you work too close to the end of the bar without doing any prep work, the result can be that you peel the end away from the bar, as seen in that left-hand photograph. What we're looking for is to come back sufficiently far enough that we can just cut and forge the material that's been isolated. I like to come in from the bar about half the height of the bar that you're working against, and I'm showing that here as X, if you will. With the square or round bar, that's easy, half the thickness or diameter of the bar. But with flat bar, I'm asking that you come in about half the dimension of the material to the side of the surface that you're cutting into. So in the case of the grill frame, which is 3/4 of an inch by 3/8 of an inch, you're going to cut on the 3/8 of an inch surface with the 3/4 of an inch measurement on the side. So it's the 3/4 of an inch measurement that's important to me. Don't forget to add a little because you're going to do an upset of the ends slightly just prior to cutting for the tenon. When I'm cutting for the tenon, I'm not a big fan of sharp edges to whatever tool you're going to use to cut and isolate the material for the tenon. The sharper the transition, the more of a focused stress riser you are creating. And for a smith, that means cracks at the root of the tenon. For most of my tenons, I use somewhere between 1/8 of an inch and a 1/2 inch diameter fuller. The 1/2 inch diameter being the simple top and bottom fuller that you make in the CBA's Level 1 curriculum. The fix to the pulling in of the shoulder material when you're cutting for the tenon is to upset the shoulder area prior to cutting. To focus the upset and to move it further up the bar, I like to chamfer the ends before I start. This also goes a long way in stabilizing the bar as you upset, minimizing bending. Dress the upset, all 4 sides, and then go to your preferred tooling for cutting the tenon. Mine is a matching set of offset fuller dies, or butcher dies if you will, contained within some heavy wall square tubing. It's an all mild steel construction, case hardened, and if I've got time I'll show the construction details at the end of the show. So what I'm looking at here is top left, I'm just dressing the upset, then there's my guillotine tool in the middle, and I forge down till it's about a square peg at the root. And I'm hoping that you can see here that the shoulder material has been drawn into the cut. I'm showing that there by the arrow. But I'm also hoping that because of the upset, you can see that I have room for some cleanup later in the process. Let's get back to the drawing out of the tenon. As I stated earlier, I don't care for sharp dies when cutting in for the tenon. There are 2 reasons for this. My first, if I use drawing dies, which I like to do, which have relieved edges on the side, then I can create a rigid material all the way around the circumference of the tenon near its root. And I'm showing that in the lower right slide. I cannot get closer to the shoulder with my dies for fear of damaging the shoulder material. So I'm left with that ridge. Let's take a moment and look at my monkey tool now. I want you to see my cutaway monkey tool as it will help the other slides in the series make a little more sense. Getting back to that ridge or hump of material as you see in that top left slide with the sharp cut behind it, and then you can see a monkey tool coming in to dress the shoulder. And I'm hoping you can see by my arrow there that when I drive in my monkey tool, it's not going to end well. I'm going to be left with a cold shut. With a radius to the cutting edge of the butcher or offset fullers, and relieved edges to your drawing down tools, the tenon is straight, aside from at the root, and that will get dressed by the monkey tool later, driving that excess material into the shoulder to create a slight upset, which we need. I do relieve the edge of my monkey tool right at the tip of the shoulder, and therefore the inside edge of every mortise that I fit a tenon into has to have that recess for it, and that helps mitigate the stress rises. You can see here the relief of my monkey tool. That goes a long way in minimizing stress rises and preventing cracking or failures during assembly. Let's get back to the flat bar. I like to recess all parts of the tenon from the parent bar. In this way, I don't see evidence of the punch or drilled mortise when the pieces are riveted together. This is actually a large bar shown here with a 7/16 diameter tenon. It's for use in a small pedestrian gate. The bar does taper to fit the hinge style of the gate. That's why the slope from left to right. But I'm showing with that black arrow that my tenon is recessed from all surfaces. As I said earlier, to focus the upset, I put a chamfer on the end of the bar, and it also goes a long way to stabilizing the bar. For the 3/4 by 3/8 flat bar used in both CBA grill projects, level 2, level 3, I bump in or upset about 3/16 of an inch of material, meaning that I shorten the bar by about that amount. I then dress the upset on all 4 sides. Come in from the end of the bar about half the height of the material, so 7/16 of an inch or so for me. Never full as to the full depth that you will eventually require. Leave a little room for the drawing down of the tenon material to impact the root of the tenon. You leave a little room for dressing. I cut to leave a 3/8 of an inch square root in this case, and I turn the bar over as I work to keep everything even and centered. Draw the tenon material down to a square cross section. Again, rotate the work as you go so you keep everything centered. Going to octagon is the move where if you had sharp edges to your dies for drawing out, you can create nasty cuts in the root of the tenon. So I like mine relieved. Take the tenon to an octagonal cross section. And at this stage, without doing anything else, you're on your way to getting a 3/8 of an inch diameter tenon. And as I said earlier, I prefer my tenons to be smaller in diameter than the thickness of the stop, enabling me to hide the mortise when fitting the frame together. Here's what we have so far. And at this stage, I run around all 8 sides in an attempt to draw the tenon down to 5/16 of an inch diameter. Note the soft transition area at the root of the tenon. Forge all 8 sides to reduce the diameter of the tenon before rounding it up. In this slide, I'm showing the guillotine tool cutting into the Y surface of the flat bar. My feeling is that waiting until now at octagon before sizing the tenon down to 5/16 of an inch diameter prevents damage to the root of the tenon. The timing is yours to decide, but I do suggest taking the tenon material down below the parent bar thickness in an effort to hide the mortise when you've assembled your grill. As I said earlier, my monkey tool has a chamfer to the business end, and that's going to create a chamfer on the root of the tenon. That means that the mortise has to be drilled to accommodate that extra chamfer of material on the tenon. As the chamfer material completely surrounds the circumference of the root of the tenon, had I forged a 3/8 of an inch diameter tenon on the what is 3/8 of an inch thick bar, that chamfer is now larger than 3/8 of an inch, and the corresponding chamfer surrounding the mortise would also have to be greater than 3/8 of an inch, making it visible when you assemble the frame. So what happens when it all goes wrong? Some problems are catastrophic, such as a crack at the root of the tenon. Others can be fixed if you see them early enough. In this case, I'm going to put an off-centered tenon and see if I can correct the problem later. So I'm going to place a shoulder on one side of my upset. This means that the tenon formed in that area should be offset from the center line of the parent bar. As you can see, the tenon from the shoulder is presenting as being off-centered, with a larger shoulder on one side and a shorter shoulder on the other. Here's my fix. As I have an upset in place, I could, theoretically, hot rasp the offending shoulder down to the height of the parent bar and then attempt to straighten the bar. This generally doesn't end well for me, but I've got to confess that I don't really give it much of a chance in the first place. My fix is to find an edge of the anvil or anvil block that matches the radii of my guillotine dies, and with the long shoulder up, as shown by the red arrow here, drive it down with a blow, maybe two, something resembling a heavy tap of the hammer. That generally kicks the tenon peg up slightly, but without changing position, a tap on the end of the peg will bring it back into straight. This move relies on you having soft shoulders at the root of the tenon. Both shoulders will get sharper with this move, but if you had a sharp shoulder initially, that would result in a crack at the base of the tenon. I tend to find that kicking over the tenon like that creates a little indent at the root, as shown by the arrow here. I go back to the guillotine tool and force the peg down a little in an attempt to remove that indent. Then it's back to a square, octagon, and eventually round, followed by the monkey tool to dress the shoulders. Another way of hiding the mortise is to recess the shoulder. This is a hacksaw and chisel work with a finish file. You can see by the divot on the opposite side of the shoulder that this bar was punched initially, and that's evidenced by the depression in the stock. If you're going to punch the bar to accommodate a tenon, punch from the rivet head side first, punching and then feeling the anvil, of course. Or you can punch from both sides and spread out the deformation. But if you punch from the shoulder side, that divot is going to be on your shoulder side, and that's going to lead to a poor fit. If something goes wrong with the tenon, and now I'm thinking of the center stile with those already welded collars, that stile represents a great deal of effort, which I would hate to throw away for the sake of a bad tenon. If you have such an issue, consider cutting off the tenon, drilling and tapping for an applied tenon. This can be a useful technique anyway, as if you substitute the tenon for a bolt, you can use that picket as a clamp where you've got multiple tenons that need to be headed over, such as I'm showing here. Or, in this case, for objects within a round frame that won't hold the clamp very easily. As I said earlier, I'm going to discuss my guillotine tools, and I use just a piece of 1¼ inch heavy wall tubing, square tubing, a washer, some angle iron that fits my hardy hole, and then 1 inch square mild steel bar for my top and bottom dies. If you look to the left-hand side of my left photograph, you see my spacer, and that's what I use to keep everything in alignment as I'm welding. My bottom fuller, shown by that second arrow, is shorter in length than the spacer that I use to align the dies. That enables me to remove the bottom die if ever I need to. The washer on the bottom allows for the dust and debris to exit the tool, and you'll be surprised how much that is. The angle iron is to match the hardy hole, and I prefer to use angle iron as it is easily filed down if the bar is a little too big for your hardy hole. The square tube has a welded seam in the middle that needs to be removed, and because of its rounded corners, the 1 inch square bar that I use for my top and bottom dies needs to have the corners relieved. And lastly, being mild steel, the struck end of the top and die will mushroom over. Draw a long taper to the struck end so that if the bar does upset slightly during use, that upset won't affect the smooth operation of the guillotine tool. Note that these dies do get quite hot during use. I usually wear a glove on my tongue hand and I cool the die as required, but I consider this whole ensemble somewhat consumable. That brings us to the end of this CBA coaching session. I'll catch you on the next one. Have a good day.